Hello and welcome back to Mate's Tottenham blog and to another Transfer Talk live stream. As the window is closing in a little over 24 hours, I thought I'd come live to kind of sum up the news. There's been a lot happening over the last 24 to 48 hours. There's been a few signings, there's been a few departures, and there's been a bit of a disappointment in our pursuit of a striker. So welcome Owen along to the stream. Of course, as I put out my video a while ago, there's also talk of us potentially signing a midfielder in this window. But the news of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg's potential trip to Tottenham has been quickly killed off by a few sources. Sky Sports kind of gone back on what they said very quickly, and also Alistair Gold said as soon as that news kind of broke that Tottenham were not looking to bring in Højbjerg in this window. According to Sky Sports, that'll be one we'll revisit in the summer. Alex, Assad, Caden, Delboy, all welcome along to the stream. So we see Alex asking any news on a striker. Our main target of this window, of course, Krzysztof Piątek, has now joined Hertha Berlin. That one is without a shadow of a doubt dead. He joined them in a deal believed to be worth about £22.8 million plus potential add-ons. And obviously it's very embarrassing that we have lost out on a player like that to a team like Hertha Berlin. But it is simply because Hertha Berlin were offering to sign him on a permanent deal, whereas Tottenham, this thing that Daniel Levy really seems to be loving at the moment, that loan with an option to buy. And essentially that is why AC Milan opted to go with Hertha Berlin's offer, and that's why we're now in a position where it's looking highly unlikely that we will sign a striker in this window. That's just the way it is. Chelsea, where we are with Olivier Giroud at the moment, his agent, according to a few sources, was at Hotspur Way yesterday. Tottenham have offered Giroud an 18-month contract. There's some of those reports have changed to suggest that we're actually looking to loan him in at the moment, but Newcastle approached Olivier Giroud earlier today and he quickly turned them down. The latest team who are potentially looking to sign him is actually Lazio in Italy, but I'm unsure whether that one will gain any traction because the reports again are saying Giroud wants to stay in London. So of course Tottenham would be the obvious option there. And as THFC says, Dries Mertens is actually looking likely to join Chelsea at the moment. A very, very clever buy from Chelsea, about £5 million for him. His contract, of course, running out in the summer. So if they do get Mertens in, that could potentially be the striker they need to allow Olivier Giroud to move on. And Tottenham looking the most likely destination. Giroud himself actually very keen to get a move to Tottenham if he is going to leave Chelsea this window. I think only 2 league appearances for him, maybe 6 appearances in all competitions at Chelsea. So it's no surprise that he is looking to leave. Saw someone there asking about Danny Ings. Stephen Flynn, why didn't Spurs even take Danny Ings? Well, I think the main reason is, as Jose Mourinho has said, he's looking for a target man in this window. Essentially, that is why he doesn't want to play Heung-min Son and Lucas Moura in the striker role. And if you're looking at the profile of player that we have been looking at, Krzysztof Piątek, Olivier Giroud, even William Jose, there's been another update on that front. It's very clear why we're not looking for Danny Ings, and strikers that we've been kind of linked with in the past, Jared Bowen from Hull especially, who could actually be on the way to Crystal Palace in the next 24 or so hours. Stephen Flynn mentioning Cavani as well. I'm not sure if that one is very likely. It's actually Inter Miami are the latest team in talks to sign Edinson Cavani. So that one seems to be dead, and it's just looking at the moment as though there's no striker that we will actually be getting. The latest on William Jose, I think as soon as that Piątek deal fell apart, there was straight away we were linked with William Jose again. Every source seeming to say that we were back in talks with Real Sociedad to sign him. Now Jose has been left out of the last 3 squads, but according to Sky Sports, Manchester United have actually been offered the chance to sign William Jose on loan from Real Sociedad. United also in a very, very bad position, looking to sign some strikers. Islam Slimani, a name who's been linked with us as well, and Odion Igalo, both mentioned as potential signings for Manchester United, but they have been offered William Jose on loan. So potentially we could be losing out on him as well. And Peter and Niall, leave me alone. Mark Woodland saying we missed a trick with Jared Bowen, and I think I do agree with that. He's doing really well with Hull in the Championship, but he just doesn't fit into what Jose Mourinho is looking for in a striker. So I wouldn't be too concerned about missing out on him because he's just not what we need right now. He's not what Mourinho wants. And I know a lot of people are saying it's a very negative approach to be trying to bring in a target man, and we should be looking for someone more of the ilk of Jared Bowen, but it's what Mourinho wants. It's what he feels is the best for the team. And I mean, if it is what he wants, I think essentially that is the type of player that we as fans should be wanting us to bring in. I would have liked to have seen Jared Bowen joining, but It's not what Mourinho wants, so that's not going to happen. Now, just recapping on this Pierre-Emile Højbjerg news, because it does seem as though it is a move that we will be pursuing in the summer. Earlier today, I think it was Sky Sports were the first to break the news that we were looking for an audacious bid to complete this one over the next 24 hours to bring him in from Southampton. Now, we're not the first Premier League team to be linked with him over the last week or so. It was Arsenal and Everton said last week they were keen to bring him in, and Gianluca Di Marzio was on Sky Sports Transfer Talk, and he was talking about a potential move for Højbjerg, and he said he heard personally from Carlo Ancelotti that Southampton are actually looking for £35 million for Højbjerg. So I think immediately when that sort of fee is thrown about this late in the window for a player who we could be looking for a more quality player to bring in, I think there's no surprise that one for us to get Højbjerg quickly fell apart. Now, Sky Sports said a while ago, why are Spurs interested in Højbjerg? And this is after they broke the initial news. They said the midfielder is a Champions League winner and 4-time Bundesliga winner. His present deal runs out in the summer of 2021, and now renewal talks are presently underway. Last Thursday, Hasenhüttl said he has no intention of letting any players leave before the January transfer window shuts. Went on to say that what Ancelotti said about the 35 million. Højbjerg joined Southampton from Bayern Munich in 2016 for about £12.8 million. So, look, if that is a move that we are going to be pursuing in the summer, I think it's a really interesting one, because I can understand it as maybe as a panic buy at the moment if we were going to bring him in. But if it does get to the summer, I think there's much better options that we could out there that we could get for the same fee, even if it is a bit more. I'm not really happy with that one if Højbjerg is something we will be pursuing in the summer. But I don't know if it is the best option for us, because, as I say, there are better midfielders out there. And even looking at some players at the moment, Emre Can, he's leaving Juventus for a very, very cheap price. He's gone back to Borussia Dortmund. I think that could have been one we could have looked at. And there are actually a lot of players at the moment that are running out of contracts, similar to the Christian Eriksen one. Of course, he went very, very cheap. There are a lot of players around Europe who are running out of contract and could be on offer for very, very cheap at the moment. We're just not looking in the right places, I think. But as a few of you are saying there, it's a striker it's the main one that we need to go for now. If we don't get a striker, potentially we could end up missing out on top four if we haven't already kind of missed out on that just yet. Cookies for the boys. But look, we need a striker. It's as simple as that, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen now. It's really upsetting that we have missed out on Piontek, because it seemed like it was such a good option, and it looked as though for quite a while that was really gonna it was going to go through. But Hertha Berlin have snuck in the last minute, and it's just they've offered what AC Milan have wanted, and it's as simple as that. They got him. Niall Gibbons, would you take Bale back? I suppose I would take Bale back if we weren't. If we didn't have to pay an exorbitant fee for him and pay the wages that he's on at the moment. But even his agent himself said it's not going to happen this window. He's not going to leave Real Madrid in this window. But if it was a realistic option, I think he'd be a good player to bring back in, because he's not getting much game time over at Madrid. He's not particularly wanted there by Zidane. So I wouldn't say no to it if it did happen, but it's just not likely at all. Owen asking, what about no top four and a trophy elsewhere? I think that's the question that was asked so much with Pochettino. Would we rather consistent top four or winning a trophy? And I think it was a very easy answer then. It was get top four, because it was a real project that Pochettino had there. He was slowly trying to build things up. But with Mourinho, I think it's flipped around completely. And if I was asked now if I wanted top four or an FA Cup, I would say an FA Cup, because that's what Mourinho is. He's a short-term manager who wins trophies. So I don't see the point in trying to build on what we have right now at the moment. We want to win trophies now while he's here, because we know he's not going to be here for a ridiculous amount of time. It is going to be a short-term thing for him. So I would say at the moment FA Cup over top four, but I wouldn't say either of them are likely at the moment. Josh Clean, would you mind Giroud? I'd take Giroud over no striker, and I think that would be the general feeling around Tottenham fans at the moment. I know a lot are saying, because he's played with Arsenal and Chelsea, that we shouldn't go for him, but he's better than no striker, because if Mourinho wants a target man, he needs a target man. I've seen a few people in my comments and on Facebook and stuff suggesting that if we don't get in a striker, switching to a 4-3-3 and playing Dele Alli in the striker role with Son and Lucas either side of him, but it's just really disappointing that we haven't gotten a striker in, and we're now in this situation where we're having to suggest these unorthodox formations, And while Dele Alli, he is a good player and he has in the past proven to be a good goal scorer, I think he's most effective when he's playing in that advanced number 10 role off the striker and making those late runs in. And that could be part of the reason why Mourinho does want a target man, because Dele Alli can play off him. He's really intelligent in that space between the defence and midfield. It's where he works best, making those late runs into the box. I see a few of you mentioned Christian Benteke as well. That's the last thing we need right now. He's the only striker I'd not take over no one. Bradley asking, I really would like us to get Giroud on a loan deal. He's a perfect replacement for Kane. He's the Premier League experience, can hold the ball up and decent in the air. What do you think? And I think that's the exact reason why we are looking into getting him. If it is a loan deal, it would be even better than having to bring him in on a permanent. But that again is maybe the reason why we're not getting the main striker targets that we want, because they know even though Kane is out for the majority of this season, when Kane comes back, they'll be straight in the bench. And maybe that's what Piontek wanted. He wanted first team football, and that's why he chose Hertha Berlin. But I did think this was the perfect time for us to get in a good striker, because they knew there's going to be 3 or 4 months of first team football there for them, and it's just not happening. It just seems to be it's a good complaint to have that our striker is so good. We have a world class striker that we can't get a second one in, but the club should have the money to get it done regardless of first team football being offered. And Peter asking about Iago Aspas. Hear me out. Well, look, Iago Aspas is doing really well in the La Liga at the moment. He's scoring goals left, right and centre for Celta Vigo. But he's shown he's not good enough for the Premier League. He really struggled at a Liverpool side who almost won the league that season. And again, he's just not really fitting into that profile of player that Jose Mourinho does want to bring in. Terry saying, hi Matt, there are some recent reports that Emre Can is back on Spurs' radar. Thoughts? I don't think there was ever any truth to that one, but it does look like Can to Borussia Dortmund is a done deal. So any hope on that one being done is off. It's Fabrizio Romano tweeted a while ago, Emre Can from Juventus to Borussia Dortmund, here we go. Loan with obligation to buy, total agreement. So that is a type of deal Tottenham would perhaps have pursued, but when Fabrizio Romano says here we go, that tends to mean the deal is done. So Can off to Borussia Dortmund. Whether or not there was any truth to that one is kind of irrelevant now. That's a done deal for him. Sleepatron asking opinion on Rose. Of course, only a couple of hours ago Newcastle confirmed they have signed Danny Rose on a 6-month loan deal. There is no obligation or option to buy in that one. It's a straight loan deal, and Danny Rose will be back at the end of the season. I assume he'll be gone on a permanent in the summer, because you don't loan out a first team player who only has 18 months left in his contract if you do plan on reintegrating him into the squad. So I do think it's the end of the Tottenham journey for Danny Rose, and it's just a case of getting him some first team football now, perhaps to up the fee that we could charge in the summer. But I assume he'd be back to a team in the north of England very early next summer. I think we have seen the last of him in a Tottenham jersey. J Spurs Balotelli is coming, calling it now. Delboy, what do you think about Balotelli? Would you have him now? I wouldn't take Balotelli. He's a troublemaker. He's not really worth any amount of money that you'd pay for him. He has scored goals a few different places he's been, but I'm not. I think he's at Brescia or something now in Italy, and he's not doing the best over there. So I wouldn't take him at all. Darren Hiller saying Emre Can and striker would be a great window, and it would be. But again, Emre Can to Borussia Dortmund is a done deal. But a striker is what we need right now. And another really frustrating thing. We've been talking since last summer about how we need to improve our fullbacks. We wanted Pochettino bringing in, looking at players like Yusuf Attal, LC Tusayo in the summer. We needed to strengthen in fullback, and now in the last 2 days we've lost 2 fullbacks. I know both of them, they are on loan, but Kyle Walker-Peters not getting much game time. Danny Rose in the last week or two kind of dropping out of the first team. But regardless of whether or not they were getting first team football, we're now lacking depth more than ever in those fullback roles. So I'm hoping these reports about Tottenham bringing in a striker and then any other potential deals would depend on outgoings. So I know I'm saying very optimistic here, but if these 2 players have now gone, potentially there is scope for 2 fullbacks or 1 fullback to come in tomorrow. It is typical Daniel Levy leaving it this late in the window, but it's just concerning that striker and fullbacks were the roles that we really needed to improve on, and we've weakened both of them. Of course, Harry Kane got out injured. Troy Parrott, again not really in the first team picture, but probably going out on loan tomorrow. I think Charlton and QPR are the two names he mentioned. It looks like Charlton is the more likely of those two. Andrew W saying, who do you think is first out in the summer, Matt, Foyth or Wanyama? Well, the situation with Foyth at the moment does seem to be that Mourinho wants to loan him out, and he does want to give him a chance in the first team, but he doesn't think he's ready at the moment. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Foyth even go out on loan tomorrow, or maybe, of course, then in the summer if he doesn't. And Wanyama, I think it's only a matter of time before he goes. He very nearly left last summer. I can't remember who it was for. Was it Anderlecht, I think? There was some mediocre European team who were really close to signing him, but he stayed. So I think you're right there. Foyth and Wanyama will probably be the first two out the door. Foyth on a loan deal. And I don't know about the others really, because we're yet to see who Mourinho really values in his first team. I don't think he knows his best 11 just yet, but I do think those two, Wanyama especially, would be one of the first names on the transfer list. Peter saying Suarez from Porto was very good, young Brazilian talent. I think if we were to bring in a striker who isn't that target man, as you say, he will be a very good option. He's a really good player, scoring a lot of goals over in the Liga NOS, and there have been quite a good few attacking players coming through from the Liga NOS. So I would take him if it was an option, but as you say, he's not the target man that we're looking for. Niall Gibbons, Adebayor spotted at Enfield Training Centre. I really doubt that one, to be honest. Nadie saying we don't need Giroud. Ishak saying, do you think we'll sign left and right backs because we let go of two and the DM from Southampton and Giroud? As I said, letting go of Kyle Walker-Peters and Danny Rose, even though they're both on loan, really weakening these positions that we're already really weak in, and we do need to prioritise improvement. So it's really optimistic to think that there may be fullbacks coming in tomorrow, but I mean, we have to hope, and we have to look at these reports that we're going to be reactive rather than proactive in the window, and that any further signings outside of what we were originally looking for would depend on departures. There's two players now gone. If we do need to sign fullbacks, it's as simple as that. But we're probably not going to, because the talk is that there's only 10 million there for a striker. So if we need a striker and two fullbacks now, 10 million is not going to be enough. There's no way that's going to happen. It's as simple as that. As for the DM from Southampton, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, that's one that we're going to be pursuing in the summer. There's a £35 million price tag put on his head by Southampton. So I think that one has kind of deterred Tottenham's interest from this window. But that is looking like one that we may pursue in the summer. Sky Sports saying he'll be our top target. Some kind of differing reports coming from Alistair Gold, who said Tottenham won't be looking to sign him at all. So we'll have to wait to see on that one. And as for Giroud, it's really up in the air. As some of you were saying, Chelsea signing Dries Mertens could potentially be the thing that allows Tottenham to get the go ahead on that one. Again, I prefer Giroud to no striker at all, but we'll have to wait and see how that one develops. Look at a few comments here. Mark Woodland saying Celtic are after Wanyama, which I think would be a great move for Wanyama. It's where he kind of first made a name for himself over in the SPL. I think that would be a great move for him, and as well as getting a bit of money in for a player who's just not getting any first team football. He's just costing us money, to be honest. He's not offering us anything as a player at the moment. Bellotti in Serie A, what's your opinion? Bellotti, is he the guy does he play with Torino? Let's have a look for him here. If he is the guy I'm thinking of, he's a very decent striker, Andrea Bellotti, 26 years old, playing for Torino. I suppose he would fit the profile of player that we're looking for in the target man, and looking for players from these European leagues, especially the Serie A, kind of a league that we have been looking at quite a bit. Just having a quick look at his stats this season. 19 games with 9 goals and 2 assists for Torino, a team who aren't exactly known as a top team over in the Serie A. That's a pretty good return. So I suppose if there is a last minute deal going on tomorrow, I think Bellotti could actually be a decent target for us. It's not often you come out with clever things, Peter. Josh Colleen saying, I know he isn't a target man, but I love Josef Martinez from Atalanta. I'm not sure the MLS really is a good place to be targeting players, because it's a league where people go to end their careers. I don't think we should be targeting for any players from there. Kind of looking at recent moves out of the MLS, looking at Miguel Almiron for Newcastle. He's their club record signing, one of the best players in the MLS, and it took him quite a while to get his first goal. Niall Gibbons, Robbie Keane or Eddie Cooney. I think I'd rather have no striker than that one, I'll be honest. Carl Calleja saying, why didn't we go for Mertens ourselves? They want 10 million for him. I think again that does seem to be or the same reasoning as the players that we are looking for. We want younger players. It's kind of typical Daniel Levy buying these younger players and selling them on for more. But I think it does fall into what Jose Mourinho is looking for now as well. So I think Mertens just isn't the player that we need right now. Darren Hiller, congrats on 2K. Thanks a million for that, Darren, and thanks for everyone who has subscribed. Just hit 2,000 earlier this morning. Bradley's saying, I think Levy will have something up his sleeve for tomorrow, and it seems like he always does. Last deadline day it was Lo Celso and Sessegnon, I think, came in on deadline day, and very, very nearly got that Paulo Dybala deal done. But Tottenham typically are a deadline day team, which has been, it's been something that's really frustrated a lot of fans for quite a while. But you can't deny it does add to the excitement, as long as the deal does get done. We have Death Attacker saying, what's your thoughts on Steven Bergwijn? I think it's a very clever signing. As I was saying, I posted a video a couple of days ago kind of giving a player profile and what I think he can offer. And his stats are really good. There's no denying that, even though he is playing in a league that probably isn't, it's not the best quality, the Eredivisie. But even in that league alone, you've Ajax especially have some really, really good players. But you're looking at Dusan Tadic and Hakim Ziyech were probably the best players over there. But Bergwijn has, I think, the second most goals in the league since the start of last season behind Ziyech, and the third most goal contributions behind Ziyech and Tadic. So he's really one of the best players over in the Eredivisie. And if you're looking at the interest that Hakim Ziyech especially is attracting, you kind of question why, when Bergwijn is only a small bit behind him in those stats, why is Ziyech looking to attract a much bigger fee from much bigger teams? I think we do need to take Bergwijn seriously. Now I know his stats in the Champions League are quite disappointing. He's played 12 games in that competition. He's yet to score a goal. He does have 2 assists, but he's still a very young player. And from what I've heard from the Dutch side of things, in terms of their, the Eredivisie experts and the Dutch journalists and Dutch fans as well, they are very excited about this deal. And I think the majority of the people who are kind of giving out about this move are the ones that, rather than knowing he's a poor player, just don't know much about him. But look, only time will tell. It's a deal that Mourinho seems to be really happy with. So again, we have to kind of take that seriously. Delboy saying, Matt, I just can't believe we won't sign a striker. It's the most obvious position, and it's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to figure out why we're not getting a striker, because it's one. We got that Jedson Fernandez deal done so quickly. We got the Bergwijn deal done quickly. Why can't we get a striker? It's that there's no kind of straightforward and obvious reason for us to not have signed one just yet. Ishak saying, is there any truth in the Koulibaly news from Napoli? I highly doubt that. Kalidou Koulibaly is a player who I think they're asking for 120 million euro to about 90 million pounds. Even more than that. I don't think that is one that has any truth to it. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a player we were looking into. He is probably one of the best centre backs in Europe. Personally, I'm really surprised that he is still at Napoli. I thought he would move on this window, but if he doesn't move in the next 24 hours, he'll definitely be gone in the summer. But I wouldn't say there's any truth to that about us. Anthony Gonzalez, what would you think about us signing striker Luis Muriel? Again, it's just not, regardless of what we think as fans, it's not the type of player that Mourinho was looking for. So I don't think there's any point in really entertaining the possibility of it, because he wants and he needs a target man. So we'll have to see where that one goes. Bradley saying maybe we will regret not getting Llorente back when he was offered, and that's a deal that I wanted us to do. I never wanted us to let Llorente go in the first place. When Kane was out injured last season, he really did a job for us. Look at what he did in the Champions League for us, getting that goal against Man City that put us through, and then playing such a big part in that comeback in Amsterdam. I really would have loved to have seen him stay for another year. And then when we were offered the chance to get him earlier in January, I thought it was something we should go for, even if we were going to look to get another striker as well. It's just really disappointing that we haven't pursued that particular option. Josh Glean saying there was a rumour I think last week and it said we were close to Koulibaly, but I think it was fake. Yeah, I haven't seen anything from the reliable sources, I suppose, about Kalidou Koulibaly, and even if it was one of the reliable sources that came out with that, I just don't think it is one that would. I don't think it's one that would materialise in any way, because he's just way out of our price range. And I'm sure there are much better teams than us looking to get him. Jace, we're saying, do you think our club missed a chance to sign Sander Berge over Jedson Fernandez? I wouldn't say so. I think we've made the right decision going for Jedson. I don't know much about Sander Berge, but I do know it is a great signing for Sheffield United. They just got him for £22 million. But no, I think we made the right decision with Jedson, mainly because it's the player that Mourinho wanted, and we have to kind of trust his judgment over ours, especially in terms of what we need with the players that may be leaving in the future. It's not just a case of, needing players for what our squad is now. He knows who's going to be leaving, and obviously he knows a lot better than us where the squad is weaker. And Jedson is the player he wanted, so we'd have to kind of say he was the right one to sign. Delboy saying, not sure what you think, Matt, but the club can't say we didn't have the funds for a striker because we didn't need Bergwijn badly right now. And that is true. I suppose striker should have been the priority, and going out spending 27 million on Bergwijn, perhaps that could have been better invested in Krzysztof Piątek. But given how quickly this move to Hertha Berlin has materialised, and where the situation with Piątek was when Bergwijn was signed, it does look like they kind of made that Bergwijn signing thinking they could also get in Piątek or any other striker that we may still get. But I struggle to believe that the funds aren't there, and I struggle to believe that in the last 5-10 years the funds haven't been there, because it's a really big football club, and just last year we recorded record profits for a football team. It shouldn't be a case of Bergwijn or Piątek. It should be a case of, if we want both of them, we're going to get both of them, because the money should be there. So I don't think they can ever use the excuse of not having the funds anymore. Jack saying we've needed a second striker for over 2 years. Crazy. And I would even go so far as to say it's been more than 2 years. Do you think we missed a chance going for Bruno Fernandes? I think we did. I really think we did. I don't know if he would have been worth the £68 million price tag, but it's a player that we really, really wanted in the past, and he said it himself that he wanted to join Tottenham. Sporting were prepared to sell him to Tottenham. It was one that was really possible if we did just pursue it. If we did go for it, it would have happened. But he's of course just completed his move to United. Lorcan saying, do you watch Limerick hurling? I don't, unfortunately. I don't watch any hurling at all. If Carl's saying, Match, think we would sign a player tomorrow? I think we have to. I mean, we do have to sign a player. If we're going to be serious about it, we need to sign 2, 3, maybe even 4 players tomorrow. But I would say we're going to sign a player tomorrow, and if we don't, it's going to be a massive letdown with the way this it's kind of been bubbling nicely up to deadline day. Obviously, getting 2 signings in the last couple of days with Lo Celso and Bergwijn, it just felt as though there was going to be more coming after that. And with these departures, as I've said, of Rose and Walker-Peters, we do need to bring in a defender. We need to bring in a striker, and you'd argue maybe we do need a centre midfielder. If we can get striker and fullback deals done, the next place that does need to be addressed is, of course, a defender. But I think we would sign a player tomorrow. I've no idea who it's going to be. If I had to guess, I'd say Olivier Giroud would probably be the most likely. But as with these couple of deals of Jedson and Bergwijn, a lot of that seemed to have been done behind closed doors, and as soon as it was kind of brought into public knowledge, they were done really quickly. So I would hope that there is similar deals to that tomorrow. And looking back to 2 years ago when we signed Fernando Llorente, that was one that just really it happened on deadline. I think he was supposed to be going to Chelsea, and we kind of snuck in last second and got him. Malcolm Reese, Tottenham Reese, on the stream as well. What time does the window end? It's closing at 11 p.m. tomorrow, so there's a little over 25 hours left in it right now. THSC 4 not that bad. Well, I mean, like, looking at how weak our team is, we need a striker. We're after losing a left back and a right back, so you'd probably say we do need to sign players in that position, and potentially a midfielder. We really do need to strengthen our squad. We're just very weak at the moment. If we want to have any hope of getting top 4, I think we do need to make a couple of signings tomorrow. Richard saying, Dybala an option still? No, that one's gone. That one's dead. Dybala looks very happy at Juventus at the moment. He's getting a lot of game time there. He's kind of turned Maurizio Sarri's opinion around on that one. And Juventus again, they're looking like they will win the Serie A this season, but it's kind of closer than it has been for them in a while. So I think they would like to hold on to their best players, and Dybala could be a very important part of that for them. They're only 3 points ahead of Inter Milan and lost 2-1 to Napoli on Sunday, so they need to keep their best players right now. And Dybala, regardless of the lack of Tottenham interest, because it seems as though that was a Pochettino signing rather than a Tottenham one. I just don't think it's a realistic one at all either. Jack saying we've money for Lo Celso for a new winger and yet no money for a striker. I'd have to hope the money's still there. As I said, these reports suggesting that we only have 10 million put aside for a striker. I'd be really, really worried if that is true, and you'd have to assume that it's not, because we need a first team striker right now. And if we don't get one in, as I said, top 4 is looking highly unlikely. Jay Spur saying, Matt, do you trust Jose? Do you know what the project is? That's a good question. This is the worst start he's ever made at a football club, but I think that says more about the state of the Tottenham squad right now than it does about him himself. Do I trust him? It's hard to say. 'Cause he hasn't really given us a reason to trust him, but he hasn't given us a reason not to trust him yet. He seems to win trophies everywhere we go, so everywhere he goes. I don't know if I could confidently say that I do trust him though. Will L saying, why did we spend so much in the midfield to hit long balls? I do think it's a case of mixing it up a bit, because before Pochettino was sacked, we'd actually played the least amount of long balls in the league. And while the long ball game has typically in the last 5, 10, 15 years been seen as a negative style of play and one that the lower teams play, I would really disagree with that. And I think it's almost a natural evolution of the game that we are back in that stage where the long ball is so effective, because you're looking back to before maybe Johan Cruyff's Barcelona, especially before Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, where the long ball was is the way teams played. It was get the ball from your goal to their goal as quickly as possible and try and score. And then you had these footballing teams come in. I think it kind of reached its pinnacle when Pep Guardiola was at Barcelona, and you have this. It's not the tiki taka. He actually hated that term. He didn't call it tiki taka at all, because tiki taka kind of refers to just passing the ball around for the sake of it. Whereas the way Guardiola played at Barcelona, every single pass had a purpose, and it was trying disjoint the defense in front of him. The way you played like that, what you had to do to get the ball back was you needed to press. And looking, there was back, I suppose, when Pochettino first came into Tottenham, it was kind of the start in England especially of this high press. And then you had the smaller teams, as is always the case, slowly starting to join in. You're looking at Brighton right now, Southampton, Aston Villa. They all have a really effective high press, and all of a sudden when you're being pressed back on your own 18-yard box, the natural way to get it past that is to play the long ball. So it is a natural evolution of the game that we are back in a stage now where the long ball is such an effective style of play. And it's maybe what cost Pochettino, because he didn't like to play that. He liked to play football. But with every single team pressing us high and us being so reluctant to play that long ball, it may have cost us. And I think that's one of the main things where Maurizio Sarri is extremely underrated, because that Sarri ball that you're always talking about, I know it didn't work when he was with Chelsea, but effectively what it is attracting the team onto you and then playing that pass, playing that long ball that gets you out of it. And while it didn't work out for him, I think it is a really clever style. And that's why I do think, even though we are investing in our midfield, we do need to get in these target men and these men who can run in behind, because the long ball it's a part of the game again, and it's an effective part of the game. And when you have players like Toby Alderweireld in your team who can play them, and players like Dele Alli who can make those really intelligent runs, and even Son and Lucas have been getting onto some of the end of them, I think it is really important to reintegrate that long ball style of play into our team. Lorcan saying, do you think Troy Parrott is our future? I would say he has a really good chance at it. I mean, a lot of us weren't really in agreement with this thing where Pochettino was reluctant to loan out these players, but Mourinho has quickly turned that around, loaning out so many players over the last week or two. I think it's important for Troy Parrott that he does get out tomorrow. Charlton being the main team thrown in around there, but QPR also in the running. We already have two players there, Luke Amos and Jack Clark, both scheduled to come back at the end of the season. So if Troy Parrott can go out on loan and get some game time, there's no reason why he can't be following a similar sort of path to Harry Kane, who spent time at Leyton Orient, Millwall, Leicester, and a few other teams as well. I think Troy Parrott could be a very good player for us for the future. Andrew saying, Matt, were we ever in the running for Islam Slimani from Leicester? I don't think we've. I think that this interest in him has only come over the last 24 or so hours. I wouldn't say we wanted to be in the running, I suppose, up until now. But Sky Sports reporting he is a target for us at the moment. I wouldn't say he's a number one target. It does look as though Willian Jose is the main one that we are looking for. I'm trying to find this post here from Sky to kind of give you exactly what they've said. It's all coming off the back of course, Krzysztof Piątek joining Hertha Berlin. If you haven't seen the news, Piątek has joined them for, I think it's £22.8 million with add-ons, a deal that Tottenham really should have been able to afford, but we were looking to get a loan deal with an option or obligation to buy, whereas AC Milan wanted the money now, and that's what Hertha Berlin offered them. So it was a pretty easy one for them to allow Piątek go to Hertha Berlin. I can't find this post here from Sky, but they were saying our targets at the moment are Slimani and William Jose. I don't know if I suppose I hope that Slimani isn't one that we do go for. As I said in my video a while ago, he's coming from a team that last season and for a few years before that we were so far ahead of them. Talking about Leicester, of course, and now they're sitting in third place, 3 or 4 places above us, and now we're looking to bring in a striker that they don't see fit to be in their first team. He's been loaned out to Monaco, of course. I think he's struggling for game time over there as well. Now, Lily White Hart saying we were in negotiations with William Jose. Check Ricky Sachs on Twitter. The thing with Ricky Sachs is he's not a source himself. He does similar to what I do. He kind of reports what everyone else is saying. But it's actually coming from Sky Sports. So this one, this is actually looking kind of good. According to Ricky Sachs, Sky Sports saying Tottenham Hotspur's negotiations for the signing of William Jose are still ongoing, with Real Sociedad with January transfer deadline day now fast approaching. Spurs' move for Jose had stalled because Sociedad were asking for about £25 million. So this is coming from Sky Sports. Seems to be posted about half an hour ago, 20 minutes ago anyway, that we are still in talks with Real Sociedad to get this deal for William Jose done. £25 million. I'm not sure he's the right man to spend that on, but I really do think we need a striker. We really do need one, and if it is overpaying for a player like Jose, perhaps it is what we need to do. But £25 million, I don't know. We need a striker, so maybe if that is going to happen, I suppose we kind of have to be glad about it, because I'd rather him than no one at all. Will L saying should have bought Werner instead of Ndombele. I really don't think that was ever going to happen. Werner, really happy at Leipzig, having an outstanding season right now. He's 20 goals in the league already, 6 assists. He's only one behind Lewandowski, who's apparently having one of the best seasons in history. So I think he's being extremely underrated at the moment in the kind of on the world stage. He's really appreciated over in Germany. But I would have loved for us to sign him, but I never thought that would be realistic. Meatmog saying, well, where have you been, Matt? Glad you're back. My thoughts on Kane injury is that he's been injured for some time. In my view, the hamstring was an injury caused by him compensating for the injury, and that has been a case with Kane. He just all it seems to be rushed back from injuries. He's overworked quite a bit, and it's no surprise it is the festive period every season where he does get injured, which kind of just reiterates the fact that we do need to sign a striker. And he has been injured for a while. He hasn't looked fully fit for, I would say, a year and a half now. It's been quite a while since we have seen him at his best. It's just a testament to how good a player he is that he has been banging the goals in still. But I agree, I do think he's been injured for quite a while. And if we can get a striker in, that could potentially allow us to leave him out for the season. He posted a video on Twitter or Instagram today, actually, kind of showing he's back in rehab. I really hope they're not going to force him or rush him back into game time again. But I think if he does get a rest for the rest of the season, and if he's left out of the Euros, he could be back at his best, better than ever come the new season. But it just seems like we will rush him back again, because it's what we've done every other time he's been injured. Gavin saying still buzzing that Eriksen is gone. If we get a striker in tomorrow, it has been a very good window. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's been a very good window, because we have been weakened in the full-back positions, which we needed to strengthen. But I'd say it is a fairly decent window if we can get in a striker tomorrow. But whether or not that's going to happen, of course, going back on this news, Sky Sports saying we're still in negotiations with Real Sociedad ahead of a potential deadline day transfer. Real Sociedad asking for about £25 million. You'd have to assume the funds are there for that one. But again, if he is the right player to spend that money on, I'm not entirely sure. Lily White Hart saying I actually think we will sign William Jose. Just have a feeling something is happening behind the scenes. And as I said, 2 deals already done this window where it has been a lot going on behind the scenes. Jedson Fernandez and of course Steven Bergwijn. I know we kind of knew they were going to sign before they were announced, but it was almost completely done by the time it was actually brought into the mainstream media about that. William Jose, Real Sociedad played last night. I think it was in the league. I don't think they played Cup last night. But he was initially named in their 22-man squad for that game, and he actually, when the game actually came to be played, he wasn't in the squad. He wasn't on the bench or in the starting 11. They played in the cup last night against Osasuna, beat them 3-1. But William Jose wasn't in their squad at all, despite being initially named in that first squad. Looking here, it says that Mikel Oyarzabal actually played up front for them. I don't think he's a striker at all. Oyarzabal is, if this loads, he's a left winger who actually played up front for Real Sociedad last night. So if they are leaving him, if they are leaving Willian Jose out of the squad and playing an unorthodox striker, perhaps there is something to this actually still ongoing. When this is 3 games in a row he's actually missed for Sociedad. So when the first one he missed it, straight away people said, or Real Sociedad said it was to clarify his future. So maybe that is still there. Tottenham re-saying, I reckon Steven Bergwijn would be an insane signing. And hopefully, he's a young player. His stats in the Eredivisie are good. Again, it's not the best league in the world, but he's right up there with players like Hakim Ziyech and Dusan Tadic, who are obviously the best in the Eredivisie. This season played 16 games, 5 goals, 10 assists. Second only to Hakim Ziyech in goals in the last 18 months. Third to Tadic and Ziyech on goal contributions. So he really has... He's doing it over in the Netherlands. There's no doubt about that. Whether or not now he can bring that onto the Premier League stage, we'll have to wait and see. Alex Hale saying, well, not really, because Kyle Walker-Peters and Rose weren't getting game time. Well, I mean, they weren't, but it's squad depth now, which we're lacking more than ever before. I think the case with our fullbacks looking at last summer was there was no player that we could really say was our starting right back or our starting left back, because we were just bad options for both. But now our only established first team left back is Ben Davis, and I know Jan Vertonghen has been shifting across and playing there. Japhet Tanganga has had a game there, and Sessegnon has been dropping back there. But we shouldn't be in a position where we do need to take players out of their natural preferred position. But Davis now we're only left back, and he's still injured. And looking at right back, I know we're playing that kind of inverted back four with the right back pushing on quite a bit. Serge Aurier mainly in that position, but we need to bring in a defensive right back, because regardless of whether or not we're trying to push Aurier on, we do come up against some teams that can really, really easily pin them back. Looking at Chelsea when they beat us at home, it was because they played that 3-4-3 that had Alonso and Willian up there and Serge Aurier, and they pinned him back and they killed us from that side. Willian scored the 2 goals. So we do need to bring in a defensive right back, and even though these players, as you said, weren't in the starting 11, it's taken away from this squad depth that was already really, really poor. Lily Whiteheart saying Ricky Sachs has reported again. It's just reiterating the same story. Sky Sports News, Tottenham Hotspur are continuing negotiations with Real Sociedad over a loan move for striker Willian Jose ahead of the deadline. So a bit of a twist on this one. Real Sociedad over a loan move for striker Willian Jose ahead of the deadline. Spurs' original proposal to the Spanish side failed due to Sociedad demanding a fee in the region of £25 million for the player. So that kind of suggesting we were initially looking for a permanent deal to bring in Willian Jose, but given Real Sociedad's valuation of the player, we're now looking to sign him on loan. He has today been offered to Manchester United on loan as well. Whether or not that's a move to try and force Tottenham's hand in the deal, we'll never really know, unless of course he goes to United. But potentially that's definitely one to keep an eye on going into the deadline day tomorrow. Willian Jose, we're still in talks over a loan move for him. I wonder now, will that be loan with an option or obligation to buy? I think someone said that there a second ago. Stark Raven Mad, I've got a feeling it will be a loan with an option to buy, low risk. So you're looking right there. As you say, low risk, something that Levy has become a big fan of lately. Tottenham re-saying, do you think that Fernandes played well against Norwich? I think he was decent. I think the player that really stood out in that one was Giovanni Lo Celso. I think the team as a whole were quite disappointing in that we needed to kind of a late enough winner to beat Norwich. But I think he was decent. It's obviously the same with Ndombele. It's going to take him a lot of time to settle into this league. So we certainly haven't seen the best of Fernandes yet. But yeah, I think he was good. I wouldn't go as far as to say he was one of the best players though. Gavin Norris, the fact we are letting Rose go must mean Davis is almost match fit. Mourinho has already alluded to how important he is to the way he wants us to defend, and he thinks he's going to be integral for us. And looking at that first game that we had under Jose Mourinho playing West Ham, which is of course where Davis got injured, I think he played about 70 minutes in that game, and he was absolutely sensational, and he really fit into that system of allowing Serge Aurier to move on, and Davis kind of sitting into that third centre-back role, which he has played in the past, just not in that same sort of style where it's a left-back essentially filling in when the opposite right-back pushes on. But he is, there's no doubt he is a really good player in this system that Mourinho is looking to play. Jack saying, a quality striker will make us a dangerous team. Without a striker, we will definitely struggle. Llorente will be better than no one. And I think I wouldn't even say he'd be better than no one. I think he's a good option for us, but that one is probably dead in the water now, as there's only, of course, a day left in the window, and Napoli now looking likely to lose Dries Mertens as well. Alexander Hilton asking about Joao Felix. I mean, if we could get him, that would obviously be an exceptional signing, but the chances of that, I'd say, are slim to none, almost non-existent, because, of course, only signed for Atletico Madrid in the summer for something like £112 million. They wouldn't be looking to let him go. I doubt he'd be looking to leave. I doubt we'd be looking to sign him. But even if all those things did go our way, we just wouldn't have the money to bring him in. Jack saying, or Bradley first of all saying, anything now is a panic buy. And Jack saying, I hope this time tomorrow we are celebrating a striker and not deflated. I do too, of course. Looking like potentially an encouraging one here about Willian Jose. We're still in negotiations over a loan move. You know, not the striker we wanted. Not the striker that any of us would have ideally picked as our target for this position. But if we are going to get him in, he's better than no one. Alexander Hilton saying we should be playing with left wing back and right wing back, which I think we, if we do bring in some fullbacks, we will have that option. And that's kind of where we were best under Pochettino, was that we did have that ability to be so versatile and to change these different formations. But at the moment, it's just not looking like we can do that. Jack saying the money is definitely there, but we'll leave you back Mourinho. I think he has to. I mean, if you're going to bring in a manager as good as Mourinho, as big as Mourinho, I think he does have to back him, but it's not looking likely at the moment, I'd say. Josh saying, are you doing a stream tomorrow? I am hoping to stream tomorrow, but I've college in the morning and I'm working at night. So I'm hoping to stream in the afternoon, maybe about 1:30. It'll only be for a couple of hours. But hopefully we'll have a bit of news on, of course, deadline day. So make sure to join me tomorrow for that one. I assume it'll be interesting. I assume we'll hear a lot. Incomings and outgoings, even if they're just rumours, if they don't turn out to be true. I think there will be a lot of news about Tottenham tomorrow. So make sure to join me to that stream. I'd say about 1:30 for that one, hopefully. If I can get on earlier, I will. But it certainly won't be much later than that. Lorcan saying, miss the days of Rose and Walker and the fullbacks. Those are the good days. The last year in White Hart Lane, it was the best year for us, for sure. Jay Spurs saying, apparently Willian Jose may be a loan option. He's trending on Twitter. I would say if we are going to loan him, there would have to be an option in that one. Otherwise, it would kind of be pointless for us to even entertain that one. Ronnie David saying, any news on Paulo Dybala joining in the summer? There's nothing on that. I don't think we will hear much about our summer targets until as soon as the window closed. That's as soon as the summer rumours start for Tottenham. But I would say the Dybala one was, I think we've missed our chance on that one, unfortunately. It was a really strange one that he was even interested in coming to Tottenham, and the fact that we were so close to actually signing him. I think we have missed our chance on that one. Terry Wright saying Dennis Serkin is apparently impressed in training, may provide some depth at right back. Mourinho talking very openly about his appreciation and his admiration of Serkin. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see him in the first team sometime soon. Jack saying, why can't we get our business done early instead of the last minute carry on? Are we a big club or not? Prove it tomorrow, Levy. We want success and trophies. And this whole business of these last minute signings just seems to be so Daniel Levy can save a couple of million. He's been doing it since the minute he stepped into the club. He's not going to change it. He's kind of have to accept the fact that he does like this last minute sort of deadline day deals. It works for him sometimes. It works for him. It doesn't work for him other times. It just seems to be the luck of the draw with him. Gavin Norris saying, trying to sign established players on loan is always going to be tricky, especially without an obligation to buy. Surely with someone like Willian Jose, the loan fee is going to be so high we should just buy. That's a good point. He's already an established player. And from a Sociedad point of view, there's not much reason why they would loan him out without the potential for a permanent deal after it, because he's not a young player that they're looking to develop. He's not a player who's kind of on the fringes of their first team. He is their first team striker. So if they're going to get rid of him, they'd want to get a bit of money in. And as you say, if there's no obligation to buy, the loan fee would probably have to be quite a bit to convince them to let him go for that short period of time. Alan saying, we need to give Mourinho 2 years to get the team together. He hasn't gotten any supply of money with Spurs. Will Aaron's players like that are not available and will probably go for 50 million. C1 Bissaka. Ronnie as well saying, what about a new right back? Aurier is awful. We need someone to replace him. And you'd hope that there will be some development in that tomorrow. As for Max Aarons, as you were saying, it's looking highly unlikely. It was kind of unlikely from the start. There was a few days there where it looked as though something might materialise, but I think Norwich made their feelings known very early on that they were reluctant to let him go. They were reluctant to let him go in this window because, I mean, they're bottom of the Premier League. They have a really important 6 months coming up. But look, if they do go down in at the end of the season, which is really looking likely that they will, I wouldn't be surprised to see Max Aarons join us in the summer. Maybe that is a potential reason why we're not going in hard for a right back this window. Maybe it is an expectation of signing Max Aarons in the summer. But Todd Cantwell as well, another player with Norwich. I'd love to see us sign. If they go down in the summer, there's certainly some players to be had from there. I wouldn't go for Timu Pukki, but I think there could potentially be a couple of bargains for us if they do go down, Aarons and Cantwell especially. If whether or not that's a decent enough reason to not sign a right back this window, I'm not too sure, but I suppose it would be some consolation if we did get Max Aarons in the summer. Ronnie Davidson, keep up the good videos. Thanks a million for that. And look, if you are enjoying the stream, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I do these interactive live streams as much as I can. As I said, I'll be doing one tomorrow on Deadline Day, and I do breaking news videos, match previews, reviews, and anything in between. Alexander saying One Football saying that Serge Aurier is committed to Spurs. Whether or not that's good or bad news, I'm not too sure, but he made comments last summer talking about, I don't know if he said he wanted to leave, but he said he just said something that he probably shouldn't have said, similar to what Christian Eriksen said about wanting to leave the club. Jack saying big stadium, training facilities, massive profits, and no striker, which is unfortunately the situation that we do find ourselves in. Ronnie David saying I think Cedric is a decent right back and free transfer in the summer, ideal business for Levy. Cedric Suarez looks to be on his way to Arsenal. Ralph Hasenhüttl said he will be allowed to leave, and it looks as though he's very close to joining Arsenal on loan, which I suppose would put them in prime position to sign him in the summer when his contract does expire. Obviously it's bad news if you do want to get him as a fan, but it's good news that now with Southampton signing Kyle Walker-Peters, there's going to be a lot of game time there for him because Cedric, their starting right back, on his way out. Will L saying Sessegnon is supposed to be future left back, hasn't worked out yet. And that's the key word there, is of course future. It is what Jose Mourinho has said about him. He does see him as a future left back. He said he's very similar to Ashley Cole, but he's just not at that level yet where he can be or first team left back. Lily White Hart saying there isn't many Tottenham fan channels, so it's good to have one that streams. And look, I love these streams as well. I really enjoy doing them, so I'm glad that you enjoy them as well. Alan Harry saying transfer deadline at 11 p.m. I hope we can celebrate a striker as well as Brexit. Jay Spurs saying everyone says Sessegnon is a winger but can't dribble, so what is even his best position in your opinion? I just think he's too inexperienced, perhaps too naive to play in left back at the moment. You know, it was very different when he was with Fulham in the Championship. I think it's no surprise that when they did get promoted to the Premier League, he was predominantly played in those winger positions. So long term, I would agree with Mourinho and a few of you there being left back, but for right now, I think it's just too much of a risk to play him there. Trevier saying if Tottenham signs Zé Luiz or Boubakary Samari, I'm 100% happy with this transfer market. Well, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but we're not going to sign either of those. Unfortunately, they're both over. Zé Luiz couldn't sign because of some work permit issues, and as for Samari, it looks if he's going to be signing for a Premier League team, it will most likely be Chelsea, but that still may not happen. Alex about Sessegnon saying I see him being a winger, to be honest, or a wing back, and so that is the nice compromise that we could possibly go with at the moment. If he's not good enough to be a winger, if he's not a good left back for us just yet, a wing back could potentially be the best option there. But that does come back to our lack of ability to be so versatile. We just don't seem to be able to play that back five at the moment. You know, or midfield as well. We need to have as many numbers in there as possible. Looking at the players that we have in Dembele, Jedson, Lo Celso, Ali, we do seem to have a decent midfield at the moment. So I wouldn't say a back five or a back three, whatever you want to call it, is the best option for us at the moment, which kind of does leave Sessegnon in limbo, but where he is going to play. Gavin saying super important we get rid of Wanyama tomorrow as well. I personally hadn't heard any rumours about Wanyama in this window just yet, but someone said a while ago that he's looking, Celtic are looking to sign him. But a quick search here, it's only Daily Mail, the Mirror, the tabloids that are suggesting he may be on the way out. It's Irish Mirror saying Celtic eyeing Victor Wanyama. I wouldn't be surprised if he does go, but I'd say at the moment it's not particularly likely that he will. Terry Wright saying, great work, Matt. Let's go, you Levy. Shamir saying, Stephen Bergwijn is great signing, but wasn't necessary when a striker is needed. No chance of top four. Personally, Giroud was good despite playing for Arsenal. He's proven he's good, especially for France. Alexander saying, Danny Rose used to be a Sessegnon type player. Patrick saying, who would you sell to afford a striker? I would hope that we don't need to sell anyone to afford a striker because, as I was saying, club record profits for us last year, better than I think it was any football club have ever made in a calendar year. We really do. We should have the funds there for a striker. I don't think we should need to sell someone, but if I had to decide, I'm sure Victor Wanyama would be a name thrown around there. Eric Dyer, personally, I don't see what he offers us anymore, but Mourinho seems to be a fan of him. But aside from that, there's no real first team player that I would suggest could be used as a way to fund a move for a striker. But I really do feel as though the money should be there to bring in a striker. And as a few of you have been saying, if the money isn't there, we just shouldn't have gotten Bergwijn. But look, it is what it is now. We have spent that 27 million on Bergwijn. We kind of have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. If it is going to be a loan move for Willian Jose, I suppose we just have to kind of settle for that. Kieran asking, when does Wanyama's contract run out? It is June of 2021, so the end of next season is when he'll be out. Maybe he's just happy to collect his wages. I wouldn't blame him either. Jack saying, Willian Jose has the presence to hold the ball up and score with his head. Exactly the man we need to become a formidable team. And Kai saying, do you think we would sign him? I mean, it's hard to tell because, whatever way Levy is going about doing these, trying to get these striker deals done, they're just not working. Encouraging that we are, again, according to Sky Sports, still in negotiations with Real Sociedad over a potential loan move ahead of the transfer deadline. But whether or not we'll sign him, I'm honestly not sure. Until yesterday, the day before, whenever it was, and this Krzysztof Piątek news to Hertha Berlin broke, I was really confident we would get him. So I don't really know what to think about our pursuit of a striker just right now. Ronnie saying, reports coming out that Mourinho and Ndombele have fallen out. Is this true? I'm not too sure, to be honest. There have been a few kind of iffy moments between them. I think when Ndombele was coming off, when he got injured, the last time he got injured, there was a weird moment between the two of them. I forget what team it was. But I wouldn't say they've fallen out. I wouldn't believe that at all. Craig Weaver saying, I think Bamford and Alioski would be good for us. Two players doing really well for Leeds. I wouldn't be too convinced on Bamford, but Ezgian Alioski, he's a great player for them. He's been in their team quite a bit over the last couple of seasons. He can play left back. He can play left mid as well. He's an international for, I think it's Montenegro he's from, or Macedonia. I think he probably shouldn't be kind of on the top of our list of priorities, but he wouldn't be a bad signing either. And I was taking a few more comments here. Andrew saying, Matt, do you think Aarons could still be on for the summer? I do. I think that is certainly a realistic option for us. As I was saying, but Norwich looking likely to go down. We could be getting him at a cut price. And I wouldn't say no to getting Todd Cantwell from them either. Will saying Bergwijn is needed because Son and Lucas can play all the games without risk of injury. We've Tarek saying, I don't understand how we could start the season without a replacement for Kane, especially when everyone knows he is so injury prone. And Richard saying, signing Lo Celso frees up Levy to opt for his preferred loan deal for a striker. No loan deal is no striker. But look, it's going to be a very, very interesting day tomorrow. As I said, I will be streaming tomorrow afternoon, maybe about 1:30. So make sure to join me for that as well. Please like this video, like this stream if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe and all that. It's going to be a really interesting 24 hours, 45 minutes now left in the window for Tottenham. I'm personally expecting incomings and outgoings tomorrow. Just who they'll be, what position they'll be. It's anybody's guess, but it's going to be an interesting one. That's all I'll say. So again, if you have enjoyed the stream, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, plus breaking news videos, match previews and reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.